taking my sin, my cross, my shame. Rising again, I bless your name. You are my all in all. When I fall down, you pick me up. When I am dry, you fill my cup. You are my all in all. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's a beautiful song.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Now we come to
everyone for coming and attending our Friday youth meeting. And the topic today, as Abuna mentioned, I guess was recommended by my lovely wife, Gina. How appropriate. And I didn't know that. So it was not planned that way. And she did not know that I was going to talk today either. So pray for me. I'm going to share my screen if it's okay, Abuna. I just have first a very, very small video. You're going to see in the video, this video is from CCYC channel, and it's actually comes from Australia. And they asked this lady, what does she think about dating in the Coptic church? So she answers, and then after that, we'll go with some slides. And please feel free to have an open discussion because that's important. I can talk too much about dating and relationships, but I would like to hear from you. So don't be shy. Just make it interactive, and there is no. You're gonna find out that I'm gonna tell you that I'm not gonna tell you whether you should date or not. I'm just gonna set the grounds for what dating is, what is meant by dating, what is dating in the Christian perspective, in the Orthodox perspective. But ultimately, it's a decision that you take between yourself, and your parents, as well as your spiritual father of confession. Okay, so here we go. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Abuna Mauritius and
there's a really great book written by one of the popes. It's called Is Dating a Road to Engagement? And so the church basically looks at dating as a road to engagement, and it shouldn't be done when you're young and immature. It should be done at an age where you are planning engagement, or you've known this person for a while. That's what they call dating. The church it doesn't completely forbid dating in older adults, but it does forbid dating in younger, immature kids. Dating is reserved for the older population that are ready to get engaged, and they just view it as a method of getting to know people.
Thank you once more.
All right, so this is dating in a nutshell. So we're done. Now I'm going to share my slides for you. And can you guys see this? Everybody see that?
No, we're still on YouTube. We still see the YouTube.
Okay, just a second. How about now?
Yes.
All right. Very good. So today we're going to talk about dating, and you can see in this picture there's a lot of youth people just like you, and you can see some of our father, the bishops. Abuna can probably tell you who they are. It's very small, but I don't know who they are. It's very tiny. So we're going to talk.
I think the bishop here is Amba Abakir of Scandinavia. So this is the Coptic Youth Conference or annual retreat of Europe.
Okay.
I think so.
Very good. Thank you, Abuna.
Welcome.
All right. So what is dating? So the dating, you're going to find out that when we talk about dating or even relationship as a whole, it's obviously an encounter or encounters that happen between a person and the opposite sex. When we talk about relationships and including dating, we have to put all relationship in view of God. The most important thing, most important relationship that a man or a woman have is that the one that he has with God. Everything else falls naturally after this, or falls in line. So first, you need to, or we need to, all of us, to concentrate on our relationship with God, because everything else comes easy once you have a relationship with God. You guys are very lucky. I say that you're lucky because you are young, and I think most of you are singles in the youth. And when I was growing up, when I was your age, nobody taught me anything about dating, and we didn't even know what dating was growing up in Egypt and even here. So I consider you lucky. I know it is a confusing subject and a controversial subject, but consider yourself lucky. So you already have an advantage listening to this talk and talks like it in the church. We have to assume that opposite sex relationships are important, just like any other relationship. But we should not assume that it is more than just friendship. So when you go in a relationship with someone with the different sex, you should put in mind that this relationship is just for friendship. And it's just that. Don't press yourself or be pressed by others. We're going to talk a little bit about peer pressure, about having to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend at your young age. Okay? So when you go in a relationship with someone of the different sex, go as if it is just like any other friendship that you have. Don't be pressured, like I said, with other people, that whether you're your friends in school or pressure from the media that everyone should have a boyfriend, everybody should have a girlfriend, and everybody should be engaged, or even everybody should be married, because God has a plan for everyone, right? And at this time, it's probably not for you to have a relationship that will lead into marriage or be dating. And sometimes, that lasts forever. Maybe God's plan for you is that you stay single. Now, I'm not saying that you should stay single. Actually, the Bible suggests that the normal plan for everybody is to be married. But for us to be married to the right person that God chooses, we have to make some decisions before that regarding this matter. We all know that there is no relationship that is neutral, right? So every relationship has a positive and a negative, has polarity, as we say. Some of them are good, some of them are not very good. Some of them are advantageous, some of them are disadvantageous and will bring us down. when we make friends of the opposite sex, I think it's important for us to consider not just how we view them, because sometimes we are kind of, when we are young and we think about love and we have an idea about romance and what it means to be in love, sometimes we are, I would say, blinded at times, but also we have not a very objective view about the people that we befriend. So it's also important to see how others view that friendship that you have with this friend from the opposite sex. Do they think that it's a positive one or is it a negative one? That's important. I'm talking about people that you trust. I'm talking about your family, your parents. I'm talking about your father of confession. Um, I think it's always good to seek other people's perspective and not just yours when you enter into a relationship of the opposite sex. As a parent, I have a concern about who my children are gonna be in relationship with. Who are they gonna be? Um, the relationships with the other sex is like. Who's that person that is gonna be going out with my daughter, or who's the girl that's gonna be courting my son? Of course it matters to me, and I think you guys should respect that concern of your parents about, because they know more, they've been through this before, and they've learned from mistakes of their own and also of others, so there is experience there. Also, some of your older brother or your older sister, their opinion is important, and sometimes they are protective, and rightly so. And saying that, there is nothing that is bad about arranged marriage, believe it or not. Arranged marriage, I'm not talking about really old-time arranged marriage of, this guy has a cousin or a second cousin in Egypt, and because they are part of the family, let's get them married. Okay, I'm talking about arranged marriage that someone that you trust, whether your family knows you and knows if you're a good Christian or not, and can give you suggestion of someone who will fit you, someone who is Christian just like you. So there is nothing wrong with arranged marriage. So don't go into thinking that arranged marriage is for all times, and this is not fashionable or hip at this time, okay? Because over the years, everybody that went into marriages that had an arranged marriage of sort, basically someone that was suggested to them that is suitable for them, a Christian like them, and then they get to know them, and we'll talk about the courting or dating in a Christian perspective. So this is the idea of what dating is. So when we talk about dating, let's put things in perspective. There is the idea of world dating, which is what the world or society views what dating is, versus Christian dating. Okay, so certain points differentiate these things, these two things: world dating versus Christian dating, or courting, if you will. So in world dating, usually the age is very young. So you hear about people who start dating in middle school. And unfortunately, some parents encourage this, the name of a boyfriend and girlfriend, when kids are even in elementary school. I've seen that and I've witnessed that. So usually it starts at a very young age. Usually it's immature. So when someone is of a young age, they have a lot of immaturity. They don't know what's right or wrong even. They don't know how to treat the other sex. outside of friendship. All they see is the stuff that is on TV or in social media or coming from Hollywood. The reasoning for world dating is just to have fun. And unfortunately, this fun can cause into a lot of emotional instability. I've had, children in my practice that they had nervous breakdowns and severe depression and anxiety and panic, and sometimes commit suicide because they broke up with their girlfriend or with their boyfriend. So it puts us in an emotional roller coaster, and that causes a lot of agony and a lot of mistrust on your future relationships. So we have to be careful with that. It's also recreational. It's just to have fun, right? It is, what am I doing today? It's Friday night. I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a date. All right. So it's part of just having fun in the world fun. And of course, like we said before about peer pressure, okay? How come you don't have a boyfriend? What, you're 13 and 14 and you don't have a girlfriend yet? There must be something wrong with you. You can be pointed out as someone who's weird or even gay or homosexual, or you don't like girls or you don't like boys. How come that is the case? So there's a lot of peer pressure that we can be put in, and it's very important that we don't bow down to this peer pressure and have a conviction about what really is important in this dating and what did God intended our relationship with the opposite sex to be. And then who is the person that we date? It could be anyone, right? It could be someone who's younger than me, someone that older than me, someone who is not a Christian, someone that believes in nothing, or an atheist, and that matters. Okay, when we differentiate that between Christian dating or courting, if you will, the age, the church, and the church and Christianity as a whole, not just in the Coptic Orthodox Church, but it recommends courting and dating to happen when someone is mature. And I'm a guy, so I'm gonna say this, and boys, don't be upset from me when I say this, but guys, we are supposed to carry the picture that we get married to someone who's younger than us. But actually, girls mature much faster than we do, okay? Especially emotionally. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm a guy like you. But I've seen kids in my practice, in my medical practice, in society that are immature for their age, okay? When girls mature faster. And that has advantages and disadvantages, okay? So we have to be ready to pick a spouse. So the idea here of Christian dating is that to prepare us to pick our future spouse. So it's the way to engagement between two people that have the same plan together to form a family and end up in marriage. Like we said, the reason is to find appropriate future spouse. And then the who, it has to be a Christian person. All right. Don't go into a relationship, what we call discipleship for the wrong reason. So don't go think that I'm a true Christian and I'm a believer and I know I like that guy or I like that girl very much, but she's an atheist. But guess what? With the help of God, I'm going to change her. I'm going to make her become a Christian. You cannot do that and you cannot assume that. Okay. So you should find someone who glorifies God even more than you do, so that you can be closer to them with God, even at their level, if they have even a better spiritual life with and relationship with God. Okay, so pick someone who will lift you up, not someone that you think that you will lift up. Okay, that's very important. And it doesn't matter what the race is. So we are not trying to be racist, saying that, oh, we're Christian, you should date just Christians, we're Orthodox, then just date or try to court or try to pick a spouse who's going to be a Christian or Orthodox. No, because it's okay even if they are of a different race. I don't have a problem with someone who is a Christian, who's a good Christian, who is black, white, Asian, or any color. Okay, so it is not because we are racist or prejudiced, but it's because we are picky, and God is picky. All right, God wants us to have the right relationship for the right reason. And the why is because it's God's plan for us. Okay, well, like we said, God's plan, intention is for man and wife to get married. That doesn't mean that being single is a bad thing. And Paul talked about this a lot. But it is better for a man and a woman to get married. So if you want to learn more about this, or everything that you need to learn about how to pick your spouse, this is what you need to turn into. This is 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4-5. And it talks about love. So love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. This is what true love is. Okay? So we have the menu, we have the recipe of what to do, what should we seek in a spouse, and what is meant by loving them. Do we see these things in that person that we pick? When we say love is patient, the most important thing, but what that means, Paul means when he says love is patient, that means that it never pressures you, your spouse to be, or the person that you are courting to become your future wife should not be a person who is gonna pressure you in any way, and a person that is willing to wait on you when you fall or when you're struggling, someone who is patient. Okay, but most importantly, it means that someone that does not pressure you to do something that's against your will or against the will of God. Okay. The second thing is love is kind. So you want to look for someone who's considerate, someone who is considered not just to you, but to other people. Okay. Love does not envy. And what that translates to, it's not just being envious of you, like a husband is envious of his wife, or a wife is envious of her husband, or if a husband is jealous of his wife per se. But really, this is basically when someone says, "I don't feel good about myself, so I'm gonna make your life miserable," or "I'm gonna make you also not feel good about yourself." Okay, that's what it's meant here, but by love does not envy. And then love does not boast, and it's not proud. This means basically it's okay to say that you're sorry. Okay, when you are wrong, you are willing to admit that you are sorry and admit your mistakes to your spouse. Love, it does not dishonor others, and that's what true love is. Okay, love that is not self-serving or self-seeking, or honors other people. You don't anger easily. Okay, You just need to take a deep breath when something wrong happens in a relationship. And once that happens and your spouse forgives you, and you forgive your spouse, then you do not keep any record of this mistake that happened and was forgiven. Just like God forgives us and wipes out all our sins and make them as white as snow, right? Like we say in the song. So this is just to say, when I talked about you cannot fix the broken things after marriage, okay? So it's better for us to know our future spouse well before we think that we can fix things, because things are not going to be fixed after marriage, okay? In a way that you think, I'm talking about someone who's not a Christian, or someone that has a very bad habit that going into the marriage that you worry about it, but you think that you can fix it. The chances are you're not going to be able to fix it after marriage. So it's important that you think through it and see if this is the right person for you. Other suggestion is to go slow, have realistic expectation. Do not assume that the relationship with friendship with others of the other sex, like we said, is the track for marriage. Okay, when you go and enter into this relationship, don't think that it is the track for marriage. Remember that people are in their best behavior when they go out on dates, right? When you are going out with a loved one or on a date, when hopefully you're mature enough to do that, people are in their best behavior when they're dating. They look their best. They try sometimes to pretend that they're better than what they really are. They dress as best as they can be. That's why I think it's very important. A lot of people, when they go to find the spouses, girls and guys, when they go to marriages, they go and dress up very nice, and ladies will put makeup, and they have the best dresses that they can wear. And this is not the place actually to pick your future spouse from, okay? Because people, when they go on dates, or they go to meet other people of the other sex in courting, they put on their best show, basically. But we have to be too slow before we judge. Don't think that I have chemistry with that person, because chemistry can only take like 10-15 minutes. I've had people come to me as like, I have chemistry between that person and I'm in love with them. Chemistry happens fast, okay? You can have an impression about a person in 5-10 minutes, but it could be the wrong impression. So don't go by just chemistry or your first intuition. That's what I mean by go slow. So when you're looking for someone, see how they react in certain situations, like how they react around their mom. Do they look their mom in the eye when she's talking to them? Are they nice to their mom? Do they anger easily against their mom? If this is an indication for me, Gina, to pick me, I probably would fail that, because sometimes I anger with my parents. But also in situation like, how do they treat elder people? How do they treat little children? How do they react when they are in competition, when they're playing soccer, for example? I've seen priests of mine, priests that I know, that I knew and I grew up with, and playing soccer or basketball with them was, they were very angry folks, and I was very surprised to see them become priests in the future. So it is very important to see people in this kind of situation, not just when they are at their best, because sometimes the real person comes out. And now we're going to take a look about inner beauty and outer beauty. You know, it's always good that we try to look healthy and we try to look good, because we are the image of God. But I have to remind you that beauty is on the eye of the beholder. What does that mean? That means whatever I think is beautiful in a woman, or when I come to see a person, my idea of beautiful is different completely than what other person's idea of beautiful is. And that's the problem with external looks and external beauty. Okay? And these things changes over time. You know, in back when I grew up in the 50s and 60s, the trend in the world was for a woman to be beautiful and pretty. She was a little bit overweight. Now she has to be as thin as bone, or skin and bone, for her to be beautiful, because that's what the society and the world tells girls to look like, right? Or how guys smoke, for example, or have a cigarette. Now we know that smoking is bad for us. So I'm just trying to say that look at the inner beauty, okay? And not just the external beauty. Because you know what? There is gravity, and you guys know the laws of gravity. Everything by age or with time is gonna what? Sag down, right? Everything, all the skin is gonna sag, bellies are gonna sag down, and so forth, especially for guys.
Dr. Sherif, can we get some questions here?
Yes, of course.
I expect them to have some questions.
Yes, go ahead. I will stop for a little bit.
Hey guys, how are you? Where are you? We need your comments and questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
So earlier we were talking about you can marry someone that's Christian but like not Orthodox, right? So like if the two denominations like have conflicting views and you both attend different churches, like how would that like work out?
So every situation is different. Obviously, in what we believe in the Coptic Orthodox Church, that you have to marry someone who's Orthodox. And because there are certain differences, they may be minor, but sometimes they can lead into problems in the future. So that's a discussion to have with both people together and with your father of your confession about whether it's appropriate or not. It might not be a problem now because both of them believe in Christ, for example, but it makes a difference on how your kids are gonna be baptized or not. If there are different denominations, what church are they going to attend, and so forth. So it is minor. For example, if you are dealing or trying to court someone who is a Christian and who is not Orthodox, different than someone who is atheist, for example, Stephen, or someone who is a Muslim that is completely against what God is this Jesus is the Son of Christ and Jesus is God, rather than someone who doesn't believe in God or doesn't believe in Jesus as the Son of God. So basically, this is a situation that you have to talk with your father of confession about, and also with that person, and talk about it before you get married and before you get involved with that person. I'll be interested to see what Abuna have to say about that, because that's important.
mixed marriage is a crucial point, especially in the lands of immigration, because our youth rarely find a suitable person, and sometimes they get a Christian person, but they don't belong to our church. Of course, as you said, Dr. Sherif, we cannot pray the crowning ceremony unless both husband and wife are of the same church. So what usually happens is one of them get baptized as Coptic Orthodox. One of them, the one who doesn't belong to our church, gets baptized or joins our church. Sometimes this happens superficially, just formally. So they are not convinced. They just do the step just to get married. But the best way to do it is to be convinced that we need to have the same attitude towards our relationship with God. We need to know that we as a family, we need to pray together. And if we pray together, we need to attend the same liturgy at the same church, so we can bring up our children in the same way. But what usually happens with mixed marriage, if they just do it formally and they're not convinced, is that the children are confused. And by the end of the day, they don't go to either churches. This is what I think of it. And I welcome any different opinions or experience here.
Thank you, Abuna. And like Abuna said, the people that are of different denomination, for example, that you would meet and you feel that they are good Christians, sometimes when they get to learn about our church, they become Coptic Orthodox Christians, probably more than you and me. And there are examples of great marriages of people that became Coptic Orthodox that have succeeded over time, opposed to people who were born in the church, if you will, and were baptized. So every situation is different, like Abuna said, but it's important to discuss these things beforehand, before it gets later on, and discuss them and discuss with your father of confession. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question that's kind of similar to Stephen's.
Sure.
So when you say like mixed marriage and stuff like that, does that also count Catholics?
So yes, so when I say different denominations, that includes Catholics as well. Yes. Did you have a certain question about that? Why are they different, or?
So like, I mean, you kind of basically answered it. So like, it's the same thing, because since Catholics aren't like Orthodox, it would confuse like children and stuff. Right.
Now, in Orthodoxy, there is a lot of Eastern Orthodox churches that we are in communion with them. These are things like the Syrian Orthodox Church, that we are in communion with them. That means that they can have the crowning in our church if they're truly baptized. So there's a lot of Orthodox church that we are in communion with. But the example of the Catholic Church, that is considered different denomination. We believe that they're Christians, but because this is a commitment for life that has a lot of consequences about your you becoming closer and have a relationship with God, as well as your spouse and your future children. Like I said, we have to discuss this before it gets too deep. Any other questions? Okay, so as I was just gonna, this slide, I just want to ask everybody, we should ask ourselves, which mirror do you stand in front? Do you stand in front the mirror to see if you're beautiful, or your makeup is perfect, or your skin is shiny and smooth? Or do you look in front of the mirror of God, which is our Bible? That's where we see our real beauty. This is how we know how God perceives us as beautiful, and we are all children of God, and we are all precious. Okay. So guys and ladies, don't go and try to look like, the people that are professional athletes. Okay. And unfortunately, this is what the society made us do. It made us look worldly into beauty, or looking good. So guys looking as like Michael Jordan, and having all the muscles that he had, and jumping as high as can be, or Cristiano Ronaldo and his good looks. We have to look into the inner heart, and not the outside looks, because these outside looks are gonna go away and fade away. All of us are gonna age. Okay, so you cannot pick your future spouse on how they look today. Okay, because the chances are, God willing, that your marriage is gonna last for a long time, God willing. And if you're just going for them and how they physically look now, in 20 years, this is how they're going to change. This is a picture, if you guys know John Travolta. I'm not trying to pick on John Travolta, but I liked him growing up. I thought that he looked very handsome when he was young, and I saw Saturday Night Fever and Grease, and he was like a very famous actor, and this is what he looks now, and that's now with plastic surgery problem. So things are going to fade away. We're all going to fade away. And what's going to be left is the true love to the inner person, and their inner heart that you picked. And this is the end of every courting and Christian dating story. You should go in it to pick your spouse, like we said, your future spouse. And the end of it should be crowning. And if you want to say, well, it might not be the end, it's actually the beginning. And that's true. Your life does not end there, right? This is the beginning of a new era in your lives, that you start a family. A family is started when you are crowned, when you become a husband and wife, not when you bear children, okay? So that's when the Christian family starts, as God wanted it to be. I'm just going to end by a few, I'm not going to say it's recommendations, but maybe suggestions for both girls and for guys. So girls, just listen to me for a second. I'm just going to go over things, just bullet points about what you should look into in your future husband. So try to look for a man who is committed to grow his relationship with God and with you, okay? And not someone who just knows the Bible as a Bible trivia, but someone who lives really a Christian life. Do not take a husband as a discipleship project, like we discussed, okay? Don't go in a relationship thinking that you are going to change them, change a bad habit that they have, and you're going to conquer it because you're strong. Ask yourself, is he a spiritual leader for your future home? Is he going to be Christ-like, a role model for your children? Is he a man of integrity? Does he how does he act in work situation? Does he cheat? Is he a cheater? Does he lie to get by in certain situation? Is he honest? Is he a leader? I'm not talking about a leader like a quarterback. I'm talking about a leader that is able to learn from his mistake, and a leader that delegates. That's what a true leader is. Someone who is not selfish, someone who's not abusive, someone who admits his mistakes. And then the other important thing is that, does he love sacrificially? That means that he would go out of his way and you are first to him. You are more important to him than you are. The most important thing, believe it or not, does he laugh? Is he someone who is funny in a way? I'm not talking about funny that he makes fun of other people and jokes about other people's situation. I'm talking about someone who really laughs at himself. When he does mistakes, he takes it in a good way and said, oh my God, I cannot believe I did that. How silly I was. That is someone who is humble, someone who focuses on others, someone who accepts criticism, and someone who says it's okay to be second, and when he falls or he is able to pick himself up. So these are the things for women. Now, men, like we said in the crowning ceremony, lend your ears and listen to us, okay? So when you pick your future wife, make sure that she has personal faith in the Lord Jesus. As you can see, we pick those two things for women, and for men, they're the same. First, Jesus is first in a relationship. Does she honor God? Is she a woman that has a relationship with God? Does she attend church? Is she conservative in the way she is dressed? And girls know how if they are dressed appropriately or not. Okay, so does she honor you that way when in her dress, in the way she behaves? Does she takes initiatives? You want a woman who takes initiatives, a woman who is going to make you strong, but taking initiative with submission. Submission is not a bad word. It is the order of God. Okay, so when we say that a lot of people get upset, women in the crowning ceremony, and when we say that you have to submit to your husband, that is the order of God, that women have to submit to their husband. But in the same sentence, it says, as the husband also submits to Christ. So we're all submitting to the same person in this Trinity, the triangle between God and a husband and a wife. Someone who is kind, someone who is stops in the street when for an act of compassion, someone who's tender towards other, someone who also has a sense of humor. You have to have someone in your who is going to be your future spouse who has fun and has a sense of humor. And then the last thing is someone that builds your confidence, someone who's there to cheer you up, someone who is always there for you and is your first and most important cheerleader in your life. I'm going to end there, but I would like us to open it for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Sherif, for this interesting topic.
You're welcome.
I want you to express your opinions freely. Hey, guys.
Yeah, this is very important, guys, because we can talk here but we want to make sure that something got to you or something provoked you or something that you might have questions about. That's the most important thing. So give us some feedback.
Don't have any questions, any comments, any disagreements? Okay. Okay, I encourage you to think again about this topic. Dr. Sherif gave us the highlights of it and how we think of it as Christian and as Orthodox, as God's children. Think of it, discuss it with your parents, discuss it with your father of confession, with your teacher in Sunday school. Even if you're shy now to ask one particular question, please ask it later on. It's always better to know now than later. The earlier, the better.
Yeah, that is completely true, Abuna. And I think you recorded this. I think it would be good for also to show it to parents. And if your parents did not ask you these questions, it's okay for you to be the starting of these conversations. Okay, tell them. Today we talked about dating in the talk, and how do you feel about it? And have an honest discussion, because when things are hidden and you have to you guys are maturing now, and you have to think about things in the future and plan. Like I told you, you guys are lucky because you have an opportunity to learn about these things and discuss it with your parents. We did not. So it is very beneficial for you to have that conversation with parents, with your parents, and as in the future, when you're having conversation with your spouses about problems before things accumulate and some different ideas or expectations of others have not been discussed.
When you were talking and you were saying that the courting ends up in the crowning ceremony, I guess if you could talk a little bit about the fact that it's not always the first person that we end up with, and this is the time to figure that out.
Yeah, sure, Gina. So the part of engagement is done and it's recommended by the church. So actually, before the engagement, when two couples start dating and courting, they should include their father of confession, either the girl's father of confession or the boy's father of confession, or someone that's different from that maybe the person who is going to crown them, the priest who's going to crown them. I think that should start. There should be classes for them, questionnaires, talking about each other, about the future, what do they expect. So all this starts even before engagement and continues at the time of engagement. That is very important. That's pre-marriage counseling is very important.
Now, Doctor, in our Coptic church, pre-marriage counseling courses are a must.
Yes.
If you're getting married in the church, you must get this course.
Yeah, and then that continues, Gina, through the engagement. And this is the trial period to see, because the two people might be excellent Christian people, but they're not made for each other, and that's fine. And when we realize this, we just say, sorry, I don't think I'm the right person and for you, and I wish you the best of luck with someone who deserves you. So this is a trial period that the church puts for us. So before we go ahead and get crowned, and then after that, mistakes can happen. And obviously we are against divorce and separation and all that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sherif, and thank you everyone for attending today. Sorry, did I